everybody. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is for you. It's Wednesday morning for me. Gonna work on some 2-5-1 playing today with Melodic Triads, specifically with quadratonics. If you hung with me yesterday, you would have heard me talking about this idea of quadratonics. It's a triad plus one note. Pull up the video, make sure I'm on. The idea behind the one note is to create a sensation of melodic tension and resolution so that we have sort of like emotions and drama in our line as opposed to scale runs, patterns, like kind of digital exercises, arpeggios, outlining changes. We're going to imply the changes and we are going to be very respectful of them. But the goal is to sound like we're not just sort of outlining them, right? It's like paint by colors. It's like having a coloring book that tells you to put green here and red here. Like, I'm not interested in that. I want to create something that feels like it's alive, like it's lyrical and human and emotional. So that's going to be our goal. Looks like there's a few people on here. So if you're totally brand new to Melodic Triads, especially if you missed yesterday, click the link. It will take you to our website. You can download the free PDF for today's class. It just has the basic shapes of quadratonics, triad plus one, triad plus a tension note. Okay? We're going to be going over 3 of them today, so if you're completely brand new to what we do and what I talk about, this might be pretty challenging, even though it's simpler than anything you're used to. We're just talking about 4-note scales. Right, a pentatonic scale is 5 notes, a quadratonic is 4 notes, but these are probably new-ish shapes for you. It's just a triad with 1 extra note, but it can be difficult to simplify things down. But the simplicity allows for a lot of freedom and creativity and potential to arise. You'll see what I mean once we start playing. So, the 3 quadratonics that we're going to be looking at today are a major triad plus tension 2, a major triad plus tension flat 2, and a minor triad plus tension 2. There's a lot more quadratonics that could be available to us. For every triad, there are 9 possible quadratonics because we have 12 notes in Western music, right? C, C sharp D, D sharp E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, back to C. There's 12 notes. If we're picking 3 of those 12 to be the triad, that leaves 9 available tension notes. So for a major triad, there's 9 different quadratonics we could explore. There's 9 minor triad quadratonics. There's diminished and augmented triads. We're not going to get into all that kind of stuff. We're just going to deal with these 3 today. Major triad tension 2, major triad tension flat 2, and minor triad tension 2. We could probably even get away with ignoring the minor triad, but let's talk about it because I put it on the PDF. So I'm just going to quickly play through the shapes on the PDF, give a very brief sort of melodic triad theory explanation in case anyone is totally brand new to what we do, just so you understand where we are. And then I just want to improvise some and use these so you can hear the improvisational potential in them. Major triad tension 2. We're going to play this in C major. So tension 2 means we're adding a D note to it. Right, we want to learn to hear this as a tension note that wants to move. C major tension flat 2. Same exact triad, so 75% of the notes stay the same, but the D becomes D flat. This gives us flat 2. Once these sirens go by. This is almost a C7 flat 9 that I'm outlining, but I'm not playing a flat 7, so it doesn't really sound like an arpeggio. But it's very easy to hear how the flat 2 wants to pull down, yeah? And then the last one is going to be C minor triad, tension 2. So C minor, C, E flat, and G, and then there's going to be a D note in it that, again, fulfills a purpose. It's not just a scale where every note is equal. It wants to move. It wants to pull down to C, or it can go up to E flat. Hopefully your ear, even if you're brand new with this, hopefully your ear can already hear this. It doesn't really sound like a scale run. It certainly doesn't sound like noodling inside of a scale. It gives a very precise, direct kind of entrance way into just nice lyrical phrasing. No arpeggio sounds, no scale runs, no sequences or riffs. It just kind of comes across as phrases, something you might hear in a measure of a classic jazz standard. Okay. These are the 3 basic quadratonics. Next to each one of them, I wrote out a few potential chords we could use that quadratonic over. So let me go back over those real quick, and I'll kind of put them on top of some chords so you guys can hear them all. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Good to see you on here, man. So the C tension 2, I could play it over C6, which I already did. I could put it over a C dominant chord. It would give us like the sound of like a C9. Okay. I can add chromaticism to connect any of these notes. Nice little phrases with a little bit of chromaticism, but we don't need the chromaticism, it's just an option. I can play this over a B flat major 7 chord, and it will give me B flat major 7 with the 13 sharp 11 and 9, so B flat 13, B flat major 13 sharp 11 9. It sounds like that note wants to pull down. That's D pulling down to C. Tension 2 pulling down to the melodic do, but I'm playing it over a B flat chord. So that's the third of the chord that you can hear it. It wants to pull down to 9. It wants to resolve to the 9. What other chords did I put on here? Oh, the same chord, but the dominant version, which I think I actually talked about yesterday. So this is a B flat dominant. I was playing major 7. B flat dominant 7, because I'm not playing any A notes here, A or A flat, this quadratonic works over either of these 2 chords. It's very ambiguous. It's like a chameleon. Okay. The next quadratonic, which was C major tension flat 2, its potential chords that I listed, and these are just some of the potentials. There are other ones that I'm leaving out. C major tension flat 2, that can imply very simply the sound of a C7 flat 9. I'm not playing the B flat note, but it still implies the sound of B flat 7 flat 9. Did I say B flat 7? C7 flat 9 but it won't sound like an arpeggio because there's no flat 7 in it, so it's just going to sound like lyrical phrases. C7 flat 9 resolving to F minor. So that's the obvious one it could be. I could put this over a lot of different chords, so I can put this over an E flat dominant chord. So I'm going to play a C major triad, tension flat 2, which is a C, D flat. I'm going to put this over an E flat dominant. You hear that D? That's C and D flat. That's tension flat 2, wanting to pull down to melodic do, to the root note. Resolving to A flat major. Okay, so that gives us the sound of what I call an E flat 13 flat 9. I'm tonicizing the 13 and the flat 9. These are not just random extensions that I'm gluing on to the top of something. This is actually now part of the color of the plot of this story that I'm telling. Okay. What other chords did I put in here? Oh, all of our kind of basic diminished is symmetrical, so we could do D flat diminished, B flat diminished, E diminished, or G diminished, all with this C major tension flat 2 quadratonic. So like here is, here's D flat diminished. D flat diminished, but notice the D flat note still wants to pull down to C. So the root note of the diminished chord wants to resolve down to its major 7. Actually see this exact quadratonic in Body and Soul somewhere near the beginning of the A section in the middle. Here's a quirky one, and then I want to run through these last few chords, and then I just want to play some 2-5-1s with these. D flat major 7, sharp 11, sharp 9. I'm going to play over it with C major tension flat 2. Shell voicing. But D flat still wants to pull down to C. The root note of the chord wants to resolve down to major 7. Okay. Pretty advanced kind of ear training exercise to be able to hear this. This is all kind of related to what we talked about yesterday, right? Not what today's class is supposed to be about. We're going to get into playing 2-5-1s with these by moving through a series of them. We're going to imply the sound of a 2-5-1, but I just want to give you some options for this stuff. The C minor tension 2 could be a basic C minor 7, could be a C minor 6, which is a great sound if you're not using minor 6 chords for your tonic minor. You should get used to them. Diminished. A flat major 7, sharp 11. That's a C note that I'm letting, and you can hear how in it is. Check out what happens if I try and put an A flat note into this melody. Playing over an A flat major 7 chord. Can you hear how it wants to pull back into the C minor triad? The A flat wants to come down to the G note. That's the harmonic root note. It's not stable. C note note is the most in note we have for this color, for this sound. The last chord I put was F minor 9. Again, it's a C note. Melodic do is C. Let's play some 2-5-1s with this. I'm just going to start really simple, and then we should have enough time that I can add a few complex options into this. But I'm going to start simple, so we'll do this in C major. So D minor, I'm just going to use a D minor triad tension 2. G dominant, I'll do a G major triad tension flat 2. And C major, I'll do C major triad tension 2. So I'm moving backwards up the BDF. I'm starting at the one at the bottom. In D minor tension 2. Then I'm going up to the middle quadratonic. G major tension flat 2, and then C major tension 2. These are what I call root structure triads. So for a D minor chord, D minor triad, tension 2. For a G dominant chord, G major triad, tension flat 2. For a C major chord, C major triad tension 2. Okay. Like just simple little phrases. I'm not using any chromaticism right now. I'm not using any kind of upper extensions or upper structure triads, just really simple, plain phrases, but I'm not stuck inside of outlining anything. I'm not stuck inside of running around or noodling scales. I'm not stuck trying to cram riffs that I know into this. This is on-the-spot movement. I'm just looking at the shape of my triads, and I'm just sort of snaking through them, intentionally landing on tension notes at times that will pull me and my line forward. The tension notes are not out notes, they're just melodic tension. They're actually very stable tension notes. Most people would not even hear it and think of it as tension, but I can hear that those notes want to move, so it allows me to create a little mini story inside of every phrase. Do this a couple more times and then I'll change a few of the quadratonics so you guys can check out what it sounds like if we imply some more complex harmony. Or backing track. I had it running this whole time on mute so that you wouldn't have to listen to the annoying count off. Okay. There's the 6th chord, A major tension flat 2. Implying the sound of a G7 chord here, really specifically. Tension flat 2 resolving down to root, and then just another note from the triad. I don't even need that other note. I could just play this whole thing, just tension notes resolving down to resolution points. more complex by adding a few leading tones and chromatic passing lines, and all of a sudden we just start to get like bebop language. No riffs, I didn't transcribe any of this from anybody, I'm just looking at my triad shapes. D minor, G major, C major, A major, and then I'm adding the quadratonic, the tension note. Okay, that's all that's going on there. It might seem really complicated if you're totally brand new to this idea of a quadratonic, but it doesn't take too long to get used to it. I'm only using minor triad tension 2, major triad tension 2, major triad tension flat 2. I'm using 3 shapes, and I'm able to just freely improvise over these changes. And I can actually use all 12 notes very easily because I can add any chromatic passing line between these notes, and because every one of these notes implies the sound of a chord very authoritatively, the chromatic line pretty much always works as long as I land back inside of a quadratonic. So I can imply changes while still playing all 12 notes. I'm not stuck inside of chord tones. Let's take this out even a little further. We still have a few minutes left. I'm going to use the polytonality, so I'm going to imply the upper structure of some chords. So I'm just going to pick a few options and try not to do them at random. So I'm going to do D minor 9, which is over the D minor chord. I'm playing an A minor triad, A minor tension 2. Okay, you could think of it like a piano player playing a D minor 7 chord in their left hand, and then playing some kind of A minor triad in their right hand. Right, that's an A note that I'm landing on. A over a D minor chord. Same quadratonic I was using a minute ago, minor triad tension 2, but now I'm using A minor instead of D minor. I'm playing it over a D minor chord, but I'm using an A minor triad. Over the G7, I'm going to use E major tension flat 2. If you know me, if you hang with me a lot, you know this is one of my favorite approaches to a dominant. It puts the 13 and the flat 9 inside of our line, which is super hip. It also turns the flat 7 of the chord, the F note, turns it into our melodic tension note. So if you're running 1, 3, 5, flat 7, you'll never be able to play this exact sound because the flat 7 is the tension note. It's not stable. It wants to resolve down to the 13. C major, I'll do, what's a good one for this? Let's get it kind of out. I'll do the major 7 with the 13 sharp 11 9, so I'm going to play D major triad tension 2. D major triad. For my study group members, there's the sharp 2 extension. Upper structure color, but still retain that kind of bluesy quality. Right? You guys hear that? Resolving to a D note to the 9 over a C major 7 chord. And then if it's not in the backing track, but I'll go ahead and add a passing chord to get me from the C major back to D minor. I'll just do like a C sharp diminished. So I'll play over the C major chord. You're only going to hear C major here, but I'm going to play the D major triad tension 2 over C major, and then I'm going to play a C major triad tension flat 2, which is going to imply the sound of a D flat diminished, C sharp diminished. Which is going to take me back 2 chord, to D minor. So without the backing track first. A minor, tension 2 over a D minor chord. E major, tension flat 2 over the G dominant chord. D major, tension 2 over the C major 7 chord. C major, tension flat 2, which is implying, you're not going to hear it in the backing track, but it's implying the sound of a D flat diminished, C sharp diminished. And that's going to bring me back to D minor. So that's going to be my little pattern. A minor, E major, tension flat 2, to D major, tension 2, C major, tension flat 2, okay, this is going to get pretty modern, especially this C major, since we're not hearing the chord properly in here. Michael asked, how am I choosing my substitutions? First thing that's worth being aware of, and I know this is confusing if you're new to this system, there are no substitutions happening. Okay, that's why I like talk about this idea of it's like a piano player. Like the chord is still there, present in the left hand. This is still 2-5-1. This is still D minor, G7, C major. It's polytonality. I'm just putting triads in the right hand to create. That's an E major triad over a G7. D major triad over C. C major triad over D flat diminished. So I know it might seem silly and subtle, but they're actually not substitutions. They're superimpositions. I'm picking them just because I've practiced this stuff a lot, and I know what triads give me different types of chords, because I've spent a lot of time working on more advanced harmonic applications. I think you were hanging with us yesterday and the day before, and I talked about like when you work on a triad, it's cool to do, running the diatonic triads of a key. That's fine, but the way I use triads is a little different. Where I like to just start with just one triad, and the reason being that then I can really hear what it sounds like when I put it on top of a chord, so that I'm not running around between, chasing after finger exercises, just like moving between random triads. I'm actually hearing the sound of an E triad, E major, over G dominant. Let's see what this sounds like. That diminished chord's throwing me off because I'm not hearing it. I'm going to skip the diminished. I'm just going to do the 2, 5, and 1 for right now. Sharp 11 resolution because I don't hear the sharp 11 as a tonic major in a 2-5-1 situation like this, but we can change it. So maybe I'll move to I'll just do something really simple with it. We'll do upper structures for the first 2 chords. I'll just do C major tension 2 for the last chord. We can mix and match upper structures and lower structures. Michael, that's why I was saying don't think of this as a substitution. It's just we're just superimposing a triad to create a certain color. I don't like this color in this situation, so I'm just going to change it by going back to a word structure. So A minor tension 2, E major tension flat 2, C major tension 2. C tension flat 2 to imply the diminished chord to get me back to 2. I'm getting a little bit off with this this A minor. I'm not expecting it coming. Let's try that again. Some chromaticism and leading tones in. You guys get the idea? If you're new to the system and you like the kind of contour that this creates, where it's not running, I'm not outlining chords, like you're not just hearing. No offense to people who are working on that, it is important to work on that, but I'm probably not going to buy a $15 album and sit and listen to someone's record if that's the way they're playing. I may or may not pay money to go see them perform at a bar. It's an important step in the process, but at some point, if we want our lines to sound more natural and human and organic, we have to transcend beyond that. I'm also not super interested in hearing what sounds like noodling inside of a scale. So if you're new at this and you like the kind of precision of it, where it's being respectful of the chords, it's implying the chords, but I'm not trapped inside of them. I'm using all 12 notes, but I'm still creating the contour of it. Triad. You can start to hear the harmonic plot without it being so obvious. So if you're into that, this is a very difficult thing to learn to do on the front end because you have to sit and kind of work on your quadratonics. They're like miniature versions of scales, so you have to figure out how to see them on the fretboard, which is why I made the PDF. You can click the link to find the PDF. And then don't try it at, I think I was playing at like 150 beats per minute. Go much slower. Maybe just work on a 5/1 resolution. Here there's like a melodic tension of D resolving down to C. Not only to create those little pockets of melodic tension and resolution, but also those sort of intervallic leaps. If you can see the shape of your triads, you'll never play the wrong note when you leap, because you're looking for a triad note. You might not realize it yet, but your ear, when you hear that intervallic leap, is looking for that structural column. Right? It's like a building that's still under construction. You can see the steel frame. You're trying to leap from one steel frame to another. You want something to catch you. Just a chromatic passing line from one triad note to another. Just chromaticism between these notes. It's hard to just want to stop and cut it off. If you're totally brand new, check out the PDF. Pick one position of a quadratonic, shed it, maybe start with major tension 2 and major tension flat 2, and treat that as your dominant and tonic, and just practice in one position. And practice implying the sound of a 5/1 movement without just running the changes. Then add the 2 chord. There's that lead. A little bit of chromaticism, just connecting some notes. There's the C tension flat 2 to imply the sound of the D flat diminished. You can have so much fun with this stuff, but at the beginning you do have to slow it down and get used to these miniature shapes and get used to moving, voice leading from one to the next. I am here to help if you need. Of course, if you're really into this stuff and you really want to delve super deep with it, you should just come check out the website. There's courses on there. We have a study group where I do open office hours where I just hang and just answer questions. I'll play demos and examples if necessary, but I'm not trying to teach anything specific there. I'm just there to help. So yeah, hope you guys dug that. This was a fun one. Really great way to get into just flowing lines out of you. I call it instant melody. Transcription is great, memorizing riffs is great, you know, scale sequences and patterns is great, arpeggios are great, all this stuff's wonderful. This is not negating any of that. but this is a really clean, precise, straightforward way of just kind of cutting through all that and getting to the heart of the matter. How do we just get lines flowing out of us? And it's as simple as just being able to see that, just D minor, G major, C major, D minor, G major, C major, D minor, G major, C major. I'm just looking at those as my steel frame, my skeleton, and then I'm adding one tension note. I'm implying the sound of a G7, but I'm not. I'm playing G and tension flat 2, G and A flat. You can hear the sound of a chord change, but I'm just playing one note. You can hear. Not outlining anything, I'm implying it. Playing one note for the C major, one note for the D flat diminished, C sharp diminished. I'm a big triad nerd. I could sit here literally all day for like 3 hours and just explore all the different ways of voice leading through this. Even just with root structure triads, that's enough to get a huge amount of music happening. And then, of course, if you want to get more advanced, you can add upper structure stuff. There's a whole upper structure resource inside of our study group membership if you're interested in it. Or you can just hang at these and I'll just show you cool tricks every day. But if you're looking for like a deep dive resource with like hundreds of pages of PDFs and dozens of videos and just hours of content, it is in the study group in case anybody's curious and doesn't know who we are. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jordan Clemens, NYCJazzGuitarMasterClasses.com. There's a link above to grab the free PDF of what I was messing around with today. And if you're interested in the study group, you can learn more about it there. You can hit me up and ask me questions. I'm happy to talk with you about it. Happy practicing. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to do some chord movements, some comping stuff. I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm going to go over, but we'll think of something cool. See you guys tomorrow.